Beginning to like this. Where's everybody at tonight? Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Well, good evening. It's Saturday night, and I've, been doing homework all day long. Been trying to come up with a better way to describe this situation within inside of us for our friend, for little Chicky girl. Because I don't want to think like I'm coming down on her hard, but I am the teacher, and it makes me, where have I failed? So believe a lot of us teachers, we know that there's a lot more people there are a few people that slip between the cracks, and they still wind up, graduating in many ways with the class. I was one of those. My highest grade in English was just being a part of the journalist club, the people who put together our what do you call that? The yearbook. I was the artist for them. Wow. Anyways, that was really fun. But to tell you the truth, there's a lot to be learned by someone like me that, has literally had to write everything down and count his apples that way in order to do correct mathematics and to, believe it or not, to learn how to even kind of speak correctly. I had to learn. I read books, and I got over my dyslexic part of me where I could learn to speed read through this program that I had in high school, which was called developmental reading, and they taught me a lot of things, and I said, damn, I wish I had taken this in like the 5th grade, because then I would have been, God knows what I would have been. Who knows what I would have been, but this is what's you left, this is what you got. That's why. And for you guys that are new, my name is Rick Worth. I'm an artist down here in Key West, Florida, and unbeknownst to a lot of my friends and stuff like that, is I've been researching this particular way of dealing with religion and defining spirituality since I was a child. I've always had this fascination towards God, and without really developing any kind of a rigid format, I wound up, being a deacon in a church here in called St. Peter's Episcopal Church, which is a high Anglican, historic black church. And those black people, they really love their Jesus. They actually put themselves as the slaves that have been, let my people go. And of course, one never getting their faith on, actually having it crammed down their mouths. Just like the Hopi and all these other places, they had to give up their old religion. They had to do what the big religion said to do in order just to live life happily. But otherwise, they'd be raped and pillaged and scourged, and like a lot of the magic man, the medicine men, and these things were gay. A lot of the guys that held on to the information, like me, were homosexuals. Oh no. So people that held their wisdom were the first ones ridiculed and singled out in the crowd and scapegoated, and then later destroyed. And so, this is the keepers of wisdom at that particular time. They considered themselves as having two spirits. And all of these old and ancient they only had these guys in high regard, both male or female. But the idea is that they became the wisdom keepers, and they became the medicine men. And so what I did, I was spending my time in Proverbs, because Proverbs 9, and 9 is a consciousness. All right, it's I'm telling you that, when the number 9 in duality is 666, right? That's the lower side of this, and 144,000, which is the higher side of things. It's the lower mind and the higher mind. 666 equals what? 6 6 6 6 12. That's 19. So it comes to 9. So 18, so it comes to 9. And so in Proverbs 9, this number 9, starting off with number 1, is talking about the higher side. And it talks right off the bat. Wisdom has built her house. She hath hewn her 7 pillars. And we're going to keep on going. That was number 1. 2, she has killed her beast. She had mingled her wine. She also furnished her table. Number 3, she has sent forth her maidens. She has sent forth her maiden. She crieth upon the highest place of the sky. 4, whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanteth understanding, she saith to him. 5, come eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. 6, forsake the foolish and live. Go in the way of understanding. All right, that's as far as I want to go with those. What you're understanding here is that there's this introduction of the female and the number 7. Okay, the 7 pillars which she has hewn, and she has settled herself in the highest part of the sky. And you have to understand that that's the heaven, the vault of heaven above our minds. All right, and so what's really interesting about this is that this is speaking directly towards, come to here. This is telling you where you get your bread and your wine. So this is about communion. When you want to commune with the Lord, if you're on the outside, you're not going to get there. That's standing without. When you want to commune and you're going to get in there and you're communing with the Lord, you are standing within. All right? And so there's the outside way of doing something and the inside way of doing something. So the outside, when they talk about bread and wine, when you're communing to go in and connect with the Lord, she's talking about coming in and getting your bread and wine. Jesus says the same thing. Jesus says, this is my bread, and this represents my skin. This is my wine. This represents my blood. All right, skin represents his way, what he's told you to do, the physical side. He's given you directions, how to get into heaven. He says, heaven is inside of you. That's this other part. His way is already given to you, and he says this. So, and wine means spirit. All right. But he says in here, and it's kind of interesting that this represents this and this represents that. This is the outside way of something. And so they make fun of them in one of these stories where they say that this is in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 17. For they eat the bread of wickedness and they drink the wine of violence. Because you get nothing out of this. You really don't. And you're drinking real wine that's supposed to flip you out. And you're acting like a cannibal. And you believe that this is going to, this is communing with the Lord. And with this guy bringing some kind of energy or some kind of life force into these foods to feed you. Oh my God, I can't take that. I can't take it. Anyways, I used to eat this demon all the time. That's probably why it takes a long time to clean me out, But anyway, so you hear the same story being rattled off. But what you have to understand is that he says, let me see where I can find this. Written in our books in Revelations, here is what it means. All right? Is your name written in the book of life? Is it? Is it? And what that means is this. Is this your way? Have you made this your way of life? And so, what does it say in Revelations 5, verse 1? And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on a throne with a book written within, and on the back side sealed with 7 seals. That's, that's the Kundalini. They're talking about our chakra system. All right, that's the 7 churches, the seals, the 7 letters sent by the 7 angels to unlock these 7 seals. Those are your works. You understand? And of course, uh, the writer of Revelation, the hack supposed writer, Paul, he says that, when he was watching this in his dream, he heard these little voices come out of these seven little voices, and he was told to not write them down, but seal them up in the book, and then he ate this. He has to eat this. So, this is something that's inside of us. This is what we're talking about. So if you want to commune with the Lord, you have to go inside to read this book, all right, and to open these seals, all right. There's nothing that you can be doing from the outside. And so, what it says here, let me find the one, because in Matthew 15:17, all right, it says, do ye not understand that whatsoever entereth into the mouth, go into the belly, and then cast into the drought? You've got to try to make it into the heart. So not into the pooper. That's where he says, look at me, you think all this and all you're going to do is just shit me out. That a lot of good that's going to do you. A lot of good. That's not just lip service. But anyways, so it's showing you that these are two different ways. And what does bread mean? Bread is manna from heaven. This is the whole act of meditation that join me through the act of meditation, and I will mix my wine with you. And so this is so beautiful. It's beautiful. And there's no new age in it. If you want to talk about new age, the age of Pisces, which was the kind of the firmament for our duality, our test, and our playfulness with this inside-outside duality of ours, which barely anyone ever even caught on to, because who I talked to, I got a cast of 20 people, maybe 10 at the most, that really catching on. They're still not catching on because they decide to keep doing the same things over and over. They don't want change. Oh, I don't like that new age stuff. It's that so this is this idea of Saturn, or this Jupiter. This idea is money is Jupiter, but Saturn in the controlling situation is nothing ever changes. So we want you to keep the same. You're a Christian. You're this. You're that. And so there's no change, and so then you're out of harmony with the seasons. We're busting into Aquarius, and so it's a brand new world coming on. If this was winter time, what are you gonna? If this is summertime, and you got yourself big coats on, you make yourself sick. You got to get in sync. That's all these stories are talking about. To know your world ahead of you is to know something about that zodiac above you, because it tells you what to expect. And there's in the zodiacs, and even in the daily charges or the monthly charges of these things, it's that there's that lift, and there's that coast, and then there's that being delivered back down again. So it's always in this change, and so this is change. So don't be afraid of this. He says, what are we going to do? Where's this house? Where can I sup you with you? And he says, hey, listen. You're going to come to a man. He's going to be carrying a pitcher of water, following him into his house. I'll meet you in the upper room, and that's where we'll hang out. So for whatever reason it is, we're in the age of Aquarius. It's now easier for many people to take this leap and jump. Go and visit the wisdom keeper, which is always feminine, the energy of feminine. That's why I said Jesus is male, female. It's not. God is not male or female. This is, it's just wrong to this. It's just energies. These are energies. There's no physical part to them that you would say, that's the boy, But anyways, let's see if I have anything else. So this is Passover, passing over from the lower conscious to the higher conscious. So they put Easter in there, and we play around with a bunch of bunnies and stuff like that, but this is the same thing. Communion, we want to commune with the Lord, we have to go within. This is the same thing, Passover, and when you do this, you get this wonderful thing, and it has to do with the sun in the sky and the moon and all these things tell the story that they've written down and turned the words into flesh so that we could understand them. But no, we fall in love with them and brought them alive, turned them into giants, and now those giants are turning around eating our motherfucking asses up. The further and slip away that we get into darkness, and Aquarius really is like an idea of like winter time. You know, that's not a lot of light coming to us. So when people are feeling like, oh, we need our death, we're praying for the end of times and all this, it's the darkness inside them. There's very little light getting in. And even for us that are, excuse me, that are cracking that nut of ours and creating a little light to come in, we have to go in all the time. Jesus says that, whenever you come in, this is the really cool part about this. I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink in anew with you in my Father's kingdom. This is Matthew 26, verse 29. This is at the end after he's telling everyone to do this and do that, and he says, and I will not touch this again until I do it with you in my Father's kingdom. And where is his Father's kingdom? He says is inside of you. And how do you get there? He says, go within yourself, go within your closet and shut the door. Teaches you how to pray, uses the 6 chakras as his descent into hell to help you relax and to quiet yourself. And this is the symbolic descent into hell. So, bread is meditation, wine is the spirit. This is the commingling of the business that we're talking about. And of course, when the man is tilling the soil, it's like commingling. You're trying to, shut off the mind. You're tilling the soil. Let me see. When Jesus sheds his blood for us, this is an interior thing. His blood, it brings what is the life force is outside of him. It's easy to touch. So if you want to touch Jesus' blood, you want to, you have to go inside where this life force is at. All right. Remember, God is the God of Jesus and God are of the living, not of the dead. Satan is the Lord of the dead. All right. What I was talking about was that Jesus grants remission of sins. The remission does not necessarily mean that that's it. So he's expecting you to return. Your return. Do you understand? All right. It's not going to be one outside. Let's see here. What else would I want to shed light on that's really, really cool? John 14, verse 23. And I'll be done. All right. If a man love me, and if a woman love me, this is the man is the carnal side of our minds, the side that we operate out of, just men and women both. Our brains are not different, all right? So if a man or a woman love me, he will keep my words. And my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world. The manna from heaven. And this wandering means to be confused. And so when these guys were all confused and God sent manna from heaven, this is the knowledge when we go into wisdom. Do you understand? So anyways, I was just trying to take make the spiritual side of things sound a little more natural and scientific, and kind of show where the religious is supernatural and and crazy. It's like that's where your witchcraft and stuff is, So my friends out there, it's just this easy. And it tells us in our Bible. And it's just that interesting. And that people still don't really want to believe it. It's just so simple. Yeah, well, it's just that simple. I love you guys. I truly do. And You know, with God's help, I'll be out here again tomorrow. All right. I love you guys. See you. Let's do it.